If you want to jump higher for volleyball, then there's only one thing that actually matters, and that is your power to weight ratio. Power to weight ratio basically means how much power you can produce compared to how much you weigh. But wait, Greg, what is power? That's a great question. In exercise science context, power is a combination of how much force you can produce and how fast you can produce it. So if we want to think about this in its most simple terms, it's a combination of how strong you are, but then also how fast you are. In most of my videos, we really focus on the strength aspect of jumping higher as well as the direct jumping aspect of jumping higher. But in today's video, we're going to specifically focus on the speed aspect of jumping higher with this lower body workout. So if your goal is to jump as high as possible for volleyball, or if you've just noticed lately that you're feeling really slow and sluggish on the court, then you're definitely going to want to check out this video. Today, I'm going to walk you through a full lower body speed workout built specifically for volleyball players, including the warm-up, the plyos, the strength work, the accessory drills, and I'll cover the exercises, the sets and reps, and exactly why each one transfers on the court. Really quick, my name is Greg Hersig, also known as the Volleyball Strength Coach. I'm a former D1 opposite. I have a master's degree in sports performance, and I've helped over 1,000 volleyball players jump higher, move faster, and stay healthy well past the age of 25. Now today, this isn't your typical leg day. We're going to be training for speed and power, which means the exercise selection is going to look a little bit different from what you're probably used to. And there's one exercise in here in particular that has become one of my favorites for reducing injury risk while also improving your explosiveness, and I'll make sure to flag that when we get there. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I post volleyball specific workouts every single week, and drop me a comment right now. Do you currently do any speed or plyometric training as part of your volleyball routine? I just want to know where you're starting from. For our first warm-up today, we are going to switch things up and go with a forward sled push. Obviously, I'm doing this on my resisted treadmill because it was too cold for me to bust out the actual sled. Doing it with an actual sled is the preferred method because it allows you to stay in very sprinting specific positions with a good amount of resistance. Today, I just did one set of 3 to 5 minutes because I was using the treadmill, but if you're going to be doing a sled, try to do a distance about like 20 yards or so and go down and back 3 to 4 times with rest in between. If a sled push is just not an option, then I think a basic jog on the treadmill for 3 to 5 minutes is sufficient to get your heart rate up, get your blood flowing, and it's still going to be really specific to what we're doing. Next, we go on to our isos, and we're coming back to the same theme of the last workout, and we're going to be working on our coiling core positions with a few split squats. The first one is going to be the front side coil, which, if you remember from the last video, is when the short side or the coiled side is over the front leg. You can see at first I tried to use a medicine ball for this and then quickly realized it really was not going to be heavy enough resistance for my legs, so I did switch to dumbbells. One really notable position on the dumbbells is that you can see that my inside hand is internally rotated, which is allowing me to maintain more of that coiling position with my upper body, even though I'm holding dumbbells in both hands. I did 2 sets of 30 seconds on each side, increasing weight each set. Next, I moved to a true backside coil, which is where the short side is over the back leg. I really couldn't find a good position with the dumbbells to do this, so I did go back to a medicine ball and just went heavier with a 20-pound ball. The backside coil is really going to target that back leg, and it's a great option if you have quadriceps tendonitis. And that is when you have pain just above your kneecap because this backside coil really targets that rectus femoris muscle. Again, I did 2 sets of 30 seconds on each leg, alternating with the front side coil. To warm up for my plyos, I went with an assisted hop this time because it's leading into some pretty intense hopping afterwards. For the assisted hop, all you have to do is hold on to something like squat rack or a pull-up bar or even a resistance band so that you're taking some of your load off, making the hop easier and more of a warm-up. You're going to want to do these at a lower intensity for higher reps just to get the tissue prepared in a very specific manner. So I did 2 sets of 10 to 15 on each leg. Next, I did have to go outside to do these, so I went out and did my actual hops for distance, and I was trying to cover as much ground as I could in about 5 to 6 hops. When you're doing hops like this, you really want to make sure that you're maintaining similar mechanics to that of when you're sprinting, meaning you want to make sure you have your arm drive in a similar way, you drive your opposite knee up in a similar way, and you try to keep that same leg cycle you would do with sprinting on the working leg. Hops are a very intense plyometric exercise, so you do want to make sure you work up the intensity each set and don't try to go all out right away. That would be like trying to do a max effort sprint without warming up, which is a really good way to get an injury, especially if you're an older athlete like myself. I did 3 sets of 5 to 6 on each leg to cover as much distance as I could. I paired those hops with a diagonal bound, which is a plyometric exercise that I love for volleyball players. Bounding is when you're jumping forward from one foot to the other foot, and adding the diagonal component gives you a little bit of a lateral push as well. This is great for strengthening your legs for for specific movements in volleyball, like the block step of your approach, changing direction on defense, or even the block step of your swing block. Again, I did 3 sets of 6 to 8 on each leg, alternating with the hops. Basically, all of the exercises up until this point are leading to this next part, which is the max effort treadmill sprinting. Again, because it was cold out, I'm doing these sprints on my treadmill, but feel free to simply do them outside if that's an option for you. Personally, I also prefer sprinting on the treadmill because it's a lower impact because of this curved treadmill that I have. I'm still holding on to some fear of max effort outdoor sprinting because of my calf tear in 2021 from doing that exact thing. It's something that I'm really focused on getting back to, and that starts with sprinting on the treadmill to get my body used to some of this level of impact again. The next step after that is going to be for me to go sprinting on grass paired with longer duration running on the road so I can better prepare my body for that hard ground sprinting. My goal here was 3 reps of maximum effort, getting up to the fastest speed that I could on the treadmill with full rest in between, which is really important. When you're focused on increasing speed, we're not doing this as conditioning, so you want to make sure you have full rest in between. I do find that sometimes the upper body technique is a little bit hard on this treadmill because I'm afraid of hitting my hands on those handrails, so I'm not really throwing my hands as much as I typically would with good sprinting technique. Also keep in mind that I have never been a track athlete and I am in no way a sprinter. I know my technique is not perfect, but I'm still working on it at the ripe old age of 35. Now this is a little bit of a longer workout, so let's move on to the actual lifting. First up is going to be the kettlebell swing, and I am coming off of a really minor back tweak, so we're not going super heavy and we're just doing a regular 2-handed swing here. My goal is a nice deep hinge on the swing and then really accelerating the weight hard by snapping my glutes and creating a ton of power in this movement. I'm really trying to focus on the posterior chain here, but if you want to make it a little bit more of a jump specific balanced exercise, you can bend your knee a little bit more and make it match the ankles of a counter movement jump. That's going to get the quads involved a little bit more. I did 3 sets of 6 to 10 swings, increasing weight each time. Next up for our main strength movement, we have a new one, and that is going to be the Bulgarian split squats. You can see that I have a really interesting setup here for Bulgarians because I'm using the safety squat bar and holding onto the squat rack with my hands in what we call the Hatfield position. If you've seen one of my earlier lower body videos, you've probably seen me do this in a regular split squat position where I'm still holding on, but now I'm switching things up and doing it with the back foot elevated. Holding on with your hands allows you to take the balance aspect out of the exercise, which is going to increase your overall force production, making it more beneficial for athletic performance. Obviously, balance and stability are important aspects for athletic performance as well, but that's not the main focus of this exercise. The main focus is to generate as much force as we can, and that means we want to be more stable. I did 5 sets of 5 on each leg, finding the heaviest weight that I could. Finish off with the posterior chain. We are going to do some knee flexion with the Nordic hamstring curl. Nordics have become extremely popular since around 2020 and have a really high carryover to sprinting ability, as well as a reduction in ACL injuries, especially when you do it with a slow eccentric like you'll see me doing here. I'm lucky enough to have this amazing piece of equipment from Freak Athlete called the Nordic Hyper Pro, which allows you to scale back Nordics to whatever level of difficulty you need by increasing the incline of the bench. The higher the angle of the bench, the easier the movement is going to be, and the goal being to work down to a flatter and flatter angle over time as you continue to progress. I actually used to be quite good at Nordics and could do them on a completely flat bench, but I stopped training them as intensely as I used to and I've lost quite a bit of strength with it. I'm going to be working on bringing them back up and hoping it helps with some of these random hamstring tweaks I've been having over the past couple of years. I did 4 sets of 5 reps with a 5 to 6 second eccentric. If you don't have anywhere at your gym to do Nordics, then you can do an eccentric leg curls on a machine, and that is a completely viable option as well. What you want to do is find a weight that you cannot lift with one leg, lift it with both legs, and then lower it with just one leg. So you're doing an overloaded eccentric in the same way that you would be doing with a Nordic. If that's the case, do 3 to 4 sets of about 5 on each leg. Last but not least, because this is a sprinting and speed focused workout, we want to get a little accessory work for the hip flexors. I'm doing a very simple hip flexor drill that anybody can do because it only requires a small loop band. This is considered a short range hip flexor exercise because you're only really taking the muscle through about half the range of motion, but it's still very effective at helping strengthen your hip flexors to increase your knee drive when you're sprinting and help prevent hip flexor injuries. I did 2 sets of 15 to 20 reps on each leg. You definitely want higher reps for this one. And that's your full lower body speed workout. We've got the sled push warm up, the front side and back side coils, assisted hops, hops for distance, diagonal bounds, sprints, kettlebell swings, Bulgarian split squats, Nordic hamstring curls, and the banded hip flexor drill. Do this workout 1 time a week and pair it with one of my heavier days, and you're going to start feeling a real difference on the court. You'll have faster first step, more explosive jumps, and the kind of leg strength that holds up during a long season. And if you're coming back from something like I am, this is a framework that makes it safe to push hard again. I really appreciate you watching the whole video. Now again, drop a comment. Which exercise in this workout was completely new to you? Because I do read every single comment. And make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next workout, because I post new volleyball specific training every single week. And if you want all of this built into a complete program designed around your body and your goals, click the first link down in the description. That's for our one-on-one coaching, where my team and I build you a fully custom volleyball workout, handle your nutrition, and get on live calls with you so that you can jump higher, move faster, and stay healthy as a volleyball player over 25. The second link is for my workout membership that has 10 pre-built volleyball specific training plans that you can start right now. And with that, I'll see you on the next one.